it may change a little bit. We might try and organize in a different way. We're not exactly 100% sure on the setups, but we will figure out what we are going to do. With that being said, there will be a moving video, one or two coming up, and yeah, we're finally moved, so we're very excited about that. Today, though, is just going to be me talking about kind of my experience in the modeling industry. So I was modeling from the age of 18 to 21. I would have been 21 when I ended it. Essentially, I took a job that was Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, so that I could make sure I had the time to spend more with Haley. This was just at the beginning of our relationship. So I wanted to, taking the 9 to 5 job kind of eliminated any chance I had to make any castings, and so we kind of just decided to part ways, me and the agency. And I haven't done modeling since then. That was about 4 years ago. But when I started, I was 18 years old. I had just moved to Toronto. Essentially, I was living in Alberta. I had just graduated high school, and I was doing some online courses to make it into an acting university, into an acting program in British Columbia. And my sister was in Toronto at the time, and she had done some acting, and so I asked her if I could just come to Toronto and do some private classes and kind of do it that way. And she said yeah. So I went to my parents in the living room and I said, I'm gonna move to Toronto. I've booked my flight and I'm gonna leave in 2 weeks. Bye. And 2 weeks later I was in Toronto. And that was in February of 2015. In March of 2015, it was my sister's birthday, and we were at a party, and one of her friends approached me and said, have you ever thought about modeling? He was doing a shoot with, it was for a magazine, I believe, in the UK, and he had someone drop out, and he needed a model real fast, and so he had me shoot some like headshots and stuff to be able to show to the people and say, hey, can this guy replace him? And then a couple days after that, I had gotten the phone call that I was going to be used, and so that was my very first ever acting job. We should have the picture. Maybe Haley can put it up here, and that's what started it. So my sister recommended a particular agency to me, and ended up being the one that I went with. I met with him. He said he'd work with me, and the one thing was that I had my Tourette syndrome, and that I would twitch, particularly in the face too. And so he said he would do a test shoot with me and just see how it went. And so I went back to his studio maybe a week later, did some shoots, and he basically said, like, yeah, no, when you get in front of the camera, when you start doing the modeling, the twitching stops, and then kind of afterwards you let it all go in between shots. So he said, yeah, I'll let anyone know who I'm sending you to, that anyone he would send me to, he would just say, hey, he has Tourette syndrome, but he's perfectly fine in front of the camera. Afterwards, just give him a minute to just shake it all out, and he's good to go. So he brought me onto his agency, and I worked under that agency for 3 years. 3 years, maybe not. No, 2 years. From about halfway through 2015 of 2015 until September of 2017. I got some cool jobs. Like, I got a lot of runways. I had done a lot of runways in Toronto Men's Fashion Week. Met a lot of very cool people, made it into some magazines and that, and like the coolest job and the biggest job that I did was for MAC Cosmetics, where they were essentially looking for someone who kind of looked like Leonard Nimoy, because they were releasing a Star Trek themed makeup line, and they needed one particular model from Toronto to play Spock. And essentially there was like one main Spock where they all across, I want to say Canada, but it's probably like all across all of America and everywhere, they had each Star Trek character, including a Spock, in malls, just kind of talking with people and introducing the brand and kind of, bringing people in. And I was one of those Spocks. But the big thing was they needed a Spock to not only go to Florida for a weekend and actually go to a MAC Cosmetics convention to introduce to all the store owners and managers, whatever, the idea of the Star Trek line and how they were going to advertise it with all the different characters. But then also they brought the setup with one Spock and one other character. I'm not a Star Trek fan, so I can't remember the character names, but they brought one of us to this like makeup school convention, but we had set up a booth to display the Star Trek theme. So I was the very first Spock who ended up going to Florida to introduce to everyone under the MAC brand what was happening. So that was super exciting. I got to meet the owner of MAC Cosmetics, and just overall it was a very cool experience. I got to get paid while hanging out at the pool of a hotel in Florida. And then another big thing, big job that I did was for Hakim Optical. Now in Alberta, we don't have Hakim Optical. Hakim Optical is just a glasses brand, and some models from my agency were picked to do a photo shoot to be one of the models on the side of the store, and we have a picture of that too. We can definitely put here to explain that and show that. So I was a Hakim Optical model, and you could be driving down the street, you see the store, all the different people posing in glasses. I'm one of them. But then I got to audition to be in a Hakim Optical commercial. Well, and again, my main thing is I wanted to be an actor, so the modeling was sort of a means to an end, and so the fact that I got an acting job out of it was pretty awesome. But my agent sent me to this audition, and when I got in, when I was kind of in the waiting area, waiting my turn to audition, they just kept playing this funky music like over and over and over and over as men would walk in to audition. And so when it came my turn, I was curious, and I went in. They said, "Okay, we're gonna play music, and you have to dance with wild energy, but you can't be good." And I looked at the guy and I said, "I just got the job." And I danced like an absolute idiot, and saying, hey, they've lowered down the list of names and you're in the potential callbacks list. And then I think not even an hour later he called me and said, yeah, no, you got the part. So yeah, I literally, when he had told me that I was in the lower list, I called my parents to let them know that I was potentially going to make this commercial, and they missed my call. And then by the time they called me back, I had actually landed. So I was gonna say, hey, I was calling you to tell you I'm a potential part in this commercial. Now I'm telling you I'm in this commercial. At that point, I had never met Haley, but we were talking. We were just talking like online through text, everything like that. And when the commercial came out, she had texted me. She had seen it on the TV, just kind of in passing, and texted me like, "Oh my God, did I just see you in a Came Optical commercial?" And to me, it meant a lot that she had never met me in real life, and yet was able to see this commercial where I'm in it for two. Like, I've had people who know me where I've been, oh, hey, check out this commercial, and I've sent it to them, and they go, where are you in the commercial? And I go, well, I'm there. I'm at the front in one of the parts. What do you mean? And this girl who had never seen me in real life saw it and immediately knew, like, picked out, oh, that's Grant. And overall, I've enjoyed modeling. I really have. I thought it was a lot of fun. Just essentially, you are really kind of a pawn in a sense. I mean, you can be promised a job and then replaced. Like, it's no big deal. If someone finds someone better than you, they'll just take that person who's better than you. And in most cases, there is someone better than you, and it sounds terrible, but if you have a six-pack, there's some guy with an eight-pack. If you don't have a six-pack, there is someone with a six-pack. Like, it just always seemed like if they were looking for something specific enough, and if they were looking for something that's specifically you, then awesome. Like I said, one of my jobs was they needed someone who looked like Leonard Nimoy, and when I went into this casting, there were guys who were really good at modeling, there were guys who looked really good, there were guys who looked unique, but I looked the most like Leonard Nimoy, so I got the job. And I just didn't like that uncertainty. There was always someone who looked similar enough to me, or, to be honest, had more of the passion. I know it's important to work out, just in general, but I just never really found the desire to, like, always, work out and keep the diet and get that amazing modeling body. So, sometimes I just struggle to look my best, and struggle to put in the effort into this career that I could have potentially had, but again, I just didn't have the passion for it. Haley and I watch a lot of America's Next Top Model, and a big thing that they always say when they come to shoots is, they give them one pose and then they say, okay, give us more, do more, and I just don't think on my feet well enough to give more. I think a lot of my photos looked good, but I don't think I had enough to bring to the industry to ever really make anything out of being a model. So, like I said, when I met Haley, I started a job. I was working in a kitchen, and with kitchens you can work weekends, you can work nights, and try and work your schedule around being able to make modeling auditions and castings. But when I met Haley, I asked for a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, because that's what she was working. And I wanted to match up so that, we would have time off together. And that just kind of designer, and I walked for her, and she said, I loved your look. I loved the way you did everything. It was great. I was feeling confident. I was hoping I would get it, especially because this was a casting for Toronto Men's Fashion Week where you would actually get paid. Most of the runways for the Men's Fashion Week was they were unpaid, and for some reason all of the runways that the girls did were paid. So that was like, another like, what's going on in the background of the industry? That, is it fair? Is it good? Is it something worth really investing a lot of your time into if you're not super passionate about it? But this audition I was at was for a paid job, and I got it. And I was very happy. It was exciting. And when I got to the fitting of the job, which I had to book a day off of work to make, there were two guys there that just kind of hung around from the last fitting, and the designer liked their look. She had them try on my outfit, and she went, yeah, I like you guys. You were in the show, and I was out. I didn't get paid. I lost a day of work and was just no longer in this show. And that was kind of the end of it. So my very last casting as a model was with this designer again. It was the following year, Toronto Men's Fashion Week, and she had me come. I came to the casting, and we were all in a big line, kind of getting to the line, walking, and then, thank you, have a nice day. And I got to the front, and she saw me. She goes, "You walked for me before." I went, "No, I've never walked for you before." She goes, "No, you look familiar though. Like you've got a doppelganger or something." And I was like, "Well, I obviously didn't say this," but I was like, "Well, no, you hired me. I just haven't walked for you before." But I walked for her in this casting, and she said, like, and I watched, she's like, "I love it. That was awesome. You're in." And I kind of, like, held my breath and went, okay. To myself, I was thinking, we'll see. And when I got home, I got an email from my agent, and it was across to all of his models, and it was saying, if you went to this casting, she said, that was awesome. You're in to more models than she could actually book for her show. So her saying you're in didn't actually mean you're in. And ultimately I wasn't in. So I didn't like feeling like my time was not a concern to anybody, and that, it was almost my fault to give up my time. And it just like, I kind of went, yeah, okay, well then, that's how it is. And I talked to my agent. We decided it was best that I just part ways, and as much as I enjoyed the actual modeling, I was fine leaving the industry and moving on to a more permanent career. But it was, there's always things like that, I find, in these sort of businesses. There's a lot of people where it is just business first, and everything else, not even second, not even third. It's like business, and then everything else falls way below. Like I said at the beginning, I was walking around going to different agencies, and I went to one agency, and they checked me out, and they said, we like you, but maybe once you put on more muscle, we'll take that I actually was working with. And, he said, we'll work with you with just how you are, no problem. Build muscle as you're gonna build muscle, but in the meantime, we can still work with you. So I was like, oh great. So I went with them, and I ended up getting a personal trainer and everything, and I ended up putting on 20 pounds of muscle. And then this other agency called me, and they said, hey, how's it been? I said, oh great, I just put on 20 pounds of muscle. And they go, that's awesome. Maybe you should come back, and we'll talk about signing you. And I said, oh no, I signed with someone else already. And then just hung up. They didn't say anything or anything. It was just a quick click hang up. So that was funny. And that's kind of really my story in the modeling industry. I'm sure as time persists and I can remember a story from here, a story from there, maybe I can discuss it on the channel, but for the most part, kind of how I got into the modeling, how I ended the modeling, and just kind of how I felt about it throughout. It's kind of that. I hope you all appreciated hearing about it, and I hope for one thing, if you are in the modeling industry, or you enjoy the modeling industry, or want to get into the modeling industry, I hope I don't deter you from pursuing it, because it wasn't a career for me, but I wouldn't say it was a bad career or an unenjoyable career. I think if you enjoy it, absolutely go for it. But it's just kind of my opinions, and my experience is what I've been through. But thank you for joining me in this story time. I'll be trying to get back to a normal schedule. I've just been very hectic with all the moving and everything, and even right now my career is bringing me north for several days in a row, for potentially months to come. So it's hard to find time really to be spending with Haley, let alone to really be getting into the YouTube. So we're just trying to figure all that out and get everything set up so that we're all happy and we're all willing and able. But there will be more videos, just the typical tapping and making sounds. There will be a video tour and potentially more Haley coming up soon for any time that I don't have time to film. But thank you all for just being so patient with everything and still supporting us so much. We want to share as much as we can with you. So if you're in the comments and you're liking and subscribing and everything, and we love to get back to anyone who comments, and especially on the videos, we love to hear what you have to say. If you have something to talk about, maybe your modeling experience, or if there's some pictures that you want to see, maybe we can try and sneak some of those into our future videos. But we just really appreciate everyone who's been helping our channel grow and supporting us. Haley and I really appreciate it, and we love all you guys, and really appreciate all the support, the watching, the likes, the subscribes, everything. And so we will see you